This is an answer key for CASTLE Unit 3 Worksheet 1.5. For these problems, for each set of circuits, circle the circuit which has the most resistance and explain your reasoning to the right. For number 1, hopefully, you've circled this circuit. And what's your reasoning? The reasoning is long bulbs have higher resistance than round bulbs. For question number 2, which one has the most resistance? Again, we're going to circle the one with the long bulbs. And the reason is long bulbs have more resistance than round bulbs. I can't spell resistance, sorry. Question 3, you have 2 long bulbs in series and 4 long bulbs in series. So hopefully you guess this one, right? Because adding bulbs in series increases resistance. You can think of that as you're making a longer resistor. Question number 4, you've got 2 round bulbs in series versus 2 round bulbs in parallel. And for this one, the one that has the most resistance is the ones in series. Because bulbs in series I need an eraser tube. Bulbs in series make the resistor longer. Which makes for a high resistance. Whereas bulbs in parallel make the resistor wider, thicker, fatter, larger in diameter, which means low resistance. Remember with the fat straw, the soda straw versus the coffee straw. I can't spell. Okay, so if you take a look at this circuit, the way to kind of attack this is to say, well, this round bulb here is the same as this round bulb here. So now what I'm doing, I'm adding a second round bulb. Well, in this one I'm adding it in series, and in this one I'm adding it in parallel. So when you add bulbs in parallel, you reduce the resistance. When you add bulbs in series, you increase the resistance. I hope that makes sense. Now for number 5, we've got a long bulb, and then we've got 3 long bulbs, but these are all added in parallel. So if you were to cover up all of this, right? So now those 2 circuits look the same. But when I add those bulbs in parallel, I'm going to decrease the resistance because it's making the resistor fatter. So this one has a higher resistance. Okay. Add bulbs in parallel. Hope you guys know that means in parallel, right? That's a mathematical thing. Makes resistor wider. So resistance decreases. Number 6. Ooh, which one has the most? Well, again, if we start with just this, or just this, now those circuits look the same. It's just a round bulb, right? So what have I done? If I add that bulb in series, that's going to have a higher resistance than the original circuit, right? So let's compare the leftmost circuit to the rightmost circuit. So when I add the bulb in series, the resistance goes up. Now, what about when I add the bulb in parallel, right? So let's look at the left bulb and the leftmost circuit and the middle circuit. Now I'm adding a bulb in parallel, which actually makes the resistance go down. So the middle circuit has less resistance than the left circuit, but the right circuit has more resistance than the left circuit, so this one has the highest resistance. Okay. Add a round bulb in series. Makes the resistor longer. And so the resistance increases. All right, let's number these in order. Number 7, number these in order from greatest to least. Well, what has more resistance, series or parallel circuits? Hopefully you think it's the series circuits. Series circuits have higher resistance than parallel circuits. So when you look there, which one has bulbs that are in series? This one right there. Okay, so this will have a higher resistance than any of the other ones. Because if you take a look at what makes them the same, right? Long bulb's the same in all of them. So now all the circuits are the same, but when I take these away, these are added in parallel. So those bulbs are each going to decrease the resistance in the circuit that they're in. In this circuit, though, it's going to increase the resistance. So this has the highest resistance. We'll call that number 1. Okay. Series has higher resistance. Now let's look at these. We have, in all 3 of these, we have a long bulb that's the same. And then I'm adding bulbs in parallel. Whenever I add something in parallel, I reduce the resistance. So that means that this one that doesn't have something added in parallel, this one right there, that's going to be my next highest resistor. This is right number 2. Okay. Adding in parallel. Oops. Parallel reduces resistance. And now, when you look at these 2 circuits, I've got 2 long bulbs in parallel, and I've got a long bulb and a round bulb in parallel. Well, the long bulb on the left is the same in each circuit, so now it's long bulb versus a round bulb. What do we know about long and round bulbs? Round bulbs have less resistance, so that means that our next one is 3. This one's going to be 3. This one's going to be 4, because long bulbs have higher resistance than round bulbs. And that's the ranking.